Ranville is secure. The Tricolour flies over the village square, a success on paper. The reality, Ranville lies in a geographical mousetrap. 4 kilometers to the east rises the Bréville Ridge, high ground that dominates everything. Anyone standing up there sees every glider of the Sixth Airborne Division, every field hospital, every gravedigger in the churchyard. The Wehrmacht holds that ground. The 21st Panzer Division has dug in among the orchards of Breville. Victory in Ranville is an illusion, as long as this ridge belongs to the enemy. Every step in Ranville is tracked by German glass lenses. At Pegasus Bridge, Richard Todd secures the perimeter. He looks east. The sky does not glow with dawn, but with muzzle flashes. Otway, the man who silenced the Merville Battery with only 150 men, gathers the remnants of his units. Merville was expensive, too expensive. His men dig into the sodden earth. The smell, a mixture of cordite, wet wool, and rotting horses. They hold the position. Every German artillery observer on the ridge can count their names. The paras are the prey. The ridge is the hunter. The psychological erosion in Ranville follows a cruel logic. Sleep deprivation here is not a condition. It is a weapon. The men of the 6th Airborne are in a state of neurological shutdown. When a soldier has been under constant mortar fire for 140 hours, his perception changes. The trembling of the hands becomes rhythmic. The ears no longer filter the whistle of shells as danger, but as background noise. Richard Todd sees men falling asleep while standing, loading their Lee Enfields. It is a trance of mud and adrenaline. The friction of war has dissolved the boundary between man and machine. They have become biological instruments, merely waiting for the next strike. Cut. The opposing side. Colonel von Luck on the ridge. Up here, war is logical. He looks through the scissors telescope. Ranville lies at his feet like on a silver platter. He sees the exhaustion in the faces of the British. He sees the gaps in their defense. The guns are loaded. The coordinates for Ranville are fixed. Every time a British jeep crosses the bridge, a German radio operator corrects the shell's trajectory. It is mechanical clay pigeon shooting. But that is not the horror of this night. The danger for the British is not only in the east, it is in the west, behind their backs, a catastrophe often missing from the reports. Death today comes not only from the Wehrmacht, it comes from their own brothers. A calculation error that will wipe out more British officers than 6 days of German shelling. 6 days of siege, a continuous rain of steel. The British call it the longest week. Every day the battalions shrink by 10, 20, 50 men. The graves in the Ranville churchyard multiply by the hour. The ground is plowed by shell craters. Logistics collapse. Ammunition runs low, medical supplies are exhausted. The men we saw at Sword Beach are now shadows of themselves. Discipline holds, but nerves are fraying. The ridge is no longer a tactical objective. It is a logistical black hole, an operational necessity that demands sacrifices every day. June 12th, 2200 hours, the order to attack. The 12th Parachute Battalion moves out. Before them lies the plateau. 800 meters of naked field, a kill zone without cover. The plateau is a ballistic trap. Geologically speaking, it is a flat limestone plate with a thin layer of loamy topsoil. This means shells do not penetrate deep before detonating. The fragmentation effect is multiplied horizontally by the hard substrate. Those who lie flat die from the blast wave sweeping across the ground. Those who remain standing are cut down by the MG bursts of the 21st Panzer Division. There is no mathematical way out. The 800 meters to the village are a statistical impossibility. A sound tears through the silence, a hunting horn. Major Johnny Stevens blows the charge. It is an absurd sound, a 19th century signal in the technical reality of the 20th century. The men run. Their boots sink into the mud. Every step is a struggle against physics. They are not running into victory. They are running into statistics. The Wehrmacht responds with mechanical precision. MG-42 bursts cut through the darkness. 1,200 rounds per minute. In the night of Breville, the metal glows cherry red. The sound is no longer shooting. It is a physical pressure on the chest. It is a wall of lead dividing the plateau into sectors. German 88mm guns fire directly into the flanks. The projectiles tear the air with supersonic cracks. The ranks thin. Those who fall stay down. No one stops. The order is the only thing that matters. It is the pure mathematics of dying. The moment of annihilation. British artillery from the warships off the coast is supposed to clear the way. a creeping barrage, but radio contact is unstable. Coordinates are transmitted incorrectly in the chaos of the night. A 5.5-inch shell weighs nearly 40 kilograms. If this mass strikes 200 meters short, the surroundings evaporate instantly within a 15-meter radius. The limestone of the plateau is pulverized into fine white dust. In this dust, the command level vanishes. A fireball tears through the night. Lord Lovett, his body hit by British shrapnel. He goes down. Brigadier Kindersley, his legs shattered. Lieutenant Colonel Johnson, killed instantly. Oxygen is sucked from the lungs of the survivors. The silence after the explosion is the worst part. It is the second the brain must realize that its own guns have just annihilated the leadership. As the survivors of the plateau reach the outer periphery of Bréville, they do so not as a cohesive formation, but as scattered groups of shadows. Here, where the open fields transition into the narrow lanes of the village, the nature of the war changes instantly. The sweeping shell fire gives way to the lashing echo of close-range fire. The paras must scramble over the carcasses of livestock and the wreckage of shattered carts. German snipers defend every meter of ground from the upper floors of the farmhouses. There is no longer any cover, only blind spots and the constant threat of hand grenades. The advance falters, pinned down by the crossfire of machine gun nests hidden in the ruins of barns. In this chaos of dust and muzzle flashes, the last tactical order collapses. It is the moment when organized combat devolves into a primitive struggle for survival. Every doorway becomes its own front line. But the paras do not stop. They have no officers left, only the pressure of the last 6 days. Ranville is burning. The heat is palpable. The Germans have entrenched themselves in the ruins. Every cellar is a nest. It is not a skirmish, it is a slaughter. Close combat at a range of 2 meters. Bayonets against entrenching tools, the gasping of men in the dust, the smell of burning timber and flesh. Together they clear house by house. No prisoners. The bitterness is too deep. Every room must be bought with hand grenades. Blood clings to the ruined walls. There is no mercy left. The final resistance concentrates on the Chateau de Saint-Côme. The castle towers like a skeleton over the burning ridge. Once a symbol of peace, now a pile of limestone and iron. The fight here is the final deconstruction of order. The space is so tight that rifles become useless. The paras use their entrenching tools as axes. It is a fight without mercy. Hand grenades are thrown into enclosed rooms until the pressure bursts eardrums. When the last German position in the south wing falls silent, the castle is no longer a building. It is a vertical cemetery. The chateau is secure. It is the end of an operation that began at Pegasus Bridge. As the last echoes of the explosions fade in the vaults of Saint-Côme, an unnatural silence takes hold. The survivors of the 12th Battalion emerge from the smoking ruins into the open air. They are no longer recognizable as soldiers. Their faces are mask-like, crusted with the white limestone dust of the ridge and the soot of the fires. One of the paras sits on the mangled remains of a German transport vehicle, staring with a hollow gaze at his battered hands. The adrenaline that drove them 800 meters across the plateau evaporates, leaving behind a leaden weight. They have finally silenced the hill, the hunter. But in this moment of triumph, there is no cheering. No shouts of victory, only the heavy, rattling breath of men who have seen too much to ever fully return from this night. June 13th, sunrise over the ridge. The silence is deafening after the noise of the night. Breville no longer exists. It is a pile of rubble. Of 700 men, 160 are still standing. The elite is decimated. Lord Lovett is evacuated. His personal involvement is over. But the ridge is British. Pegasus Bridge is secure. Ranville can finally breathe. The fragile success of Ranville from Episode 4 has been redeemed in blood. The trap is broken, but the cost is absolute. The price: the operational existence of the Sixth Airborne Division. The hill is taken. Bréville remains a scar on the map of Normandy. The road to Caen is open, but the men who opened it are marked. As the ridge falls silent, the burning spires of Caen loom on the horizon. The fate of Normandy will no longer be decided here, but in the steel hell of the Falaise pocket. The end has only just begun.